So welcome to a face cam review of episode 7. I'm going to say of spoilers for Daredevil Born Again. I thought why not be here for it? Why not? So you're seeing me in my prime, I've been awake for like an hour kind of state. But got up early because I remembered that Daredevil was on. I don't know if I'm going to be able to review next week's Daredevil and the week after that, like, on the day that they release, but I do want to review them and do, like, the entire season, because I'm loving this show. This episode was a weird one, and I cannot wait to talk about it, so let's have a chit-chat about Daredevil Born Again, episode 7. So, this was a fake filler episode. When this started, I was like, oh my god, they're just recapping everything that happened in the last episode, and they did it for like 15 minutes, and I was like, oh no, it's gonna be like episode 4, which that was kind of similar, and I didn't enjoy it that much, and the first portion of this I just didn't enjoy, but it did make a lot more sense as we got further into the episode. It was like re-establishing Heather's relationship with Matt, and the whole scenario between Kingpin and Vanessa, and just further hammering home those scenarios that we're in, because those are the scenarios that we're going to be following moving forward. And we then very quickly changed gears to Muse. And my god, they did a fantastic job portraying Muse in this. However, some stuff happened. We'll dive into the Muse specific stuff in a second, because there's a lot to talk about with that. But I wanted to talk about mostly the Vanessa and the Kingpin stuff first and get that out of the way, because that was taking a back seat, because I now think that is going to be taking a front seat moving forward. It seems like that, we're kind of pushing the Muse storyline aside, even though he's meant to be the big villain of the season, which is really, really weird. I guess he ain't the big villain of the season. It's really, really strange. But yeah, we got to see Vanessa essentially put a hit out on Fisk. And as we saw with the reveal that Buck, whoever he is, I don't know if he's from the comics or not, but Buck, I'm doing this because I don't think that's his real name. It's going to conveniently be Wesley. That's going to be his name. But yeah, it turns out that like he's some sort of ex-CIA special agent or whatever. Maybe a former hitman. I don't know. I think that there's going to be some sort of reveal with Buck's name, and it's going to turn out that like he is somebody that we know from the comics, but I don't know. At the moment, we got like a nice reveal that Fisk basically has like a special agent on his side. We're definitely getting Buck versus Daredevil as well. Whether it's this season or next, we're getting it. I know we are. But Vanessa basically puts out a hit on Fisk and sends Luca to where Fisk is having food. Yet again, he's having food. He's getting bigger. And Luca tries to kill Fisk, but Buck takes him out. Now, this could be seen in like one of two ways. I think Vanessa is playing a very, very complicated game of chess, and she's playing it against Fisk, which is probably the worst person that you could be playing it against, because we know that Fisk wants to win everything. I believe that Vanessa knew that Fisk would take out Luca, and if by chance Fisk didn't take out Luca would have taken out Fisk, and either way, one of her problems would have been solved. She has pitted them up against each other in a scenario that was a win-win for her for now. We're gonna talk very, very briefly about what I have predicted for Vanessa, because I mentioned it last episode, I think, or possibly a couple episodes back. But basically, I don't think Vanessa's making it out of this season. And the stuff that happened in this episode further cements that for me. So let's talk about Muse. So we got Muse versus Daredevil number 2 already, just one episode later, which is insane. And they wrapped up the case. They seemingly have killed off Muse. Huh? Okay. So in the comics, Muse has powers, right? He has, enhanced strength, superhuman kind of abilities, as most people do in the comics, because that's what makes it more fun to watch. Nobody wants to see just basic people beating the shit out of each other. You want to see super soldier people, basically enhanced individuals fighting. And in the comics, Muse has some enhancements that mean that he can keep up with Daredevil physically. And they were kind of hinting towards that with, like, referencing the taekwondo and stuff, because the whole crux of this episode is that Muse has been going to therapy with Heather. And we saw him earlier on, I think in, like, episode 2 or episode 3. I think it was 2. He went to, like, one of her book signings. And anybody that kind of kept up with the pre-production for this show knew that Hunter Doohan, I want to say his name is Hunter Doohan. I'm going to say Doohan because it sounds a little bit better. It sounds better from me saying it. But Hunter Doohan was rumored to be cast as Muse the entire pre-production. So going into this, the moment I saw him, I was like, there he is. And then we didn't see him again. And we haven't seen him up until this episode. So I thought that they were maybe going to just bait us a little bit and just like, oh, we're going to build some tension. And it turns out that, like, we're going to slowly build to him attacking Heather. He fucking did it in this episode. They wasted no time. This episode went from, like, a very slow 15-minute possible filler episode to wrapping up an entire storyline that has slowly been bubbling for the last 6 episodes. It was very strange. Now, some of the stuff that they included in this was really, really great. The anti-vigilante, ironically rhymes, task force were sent in here by Fisk to deal with Muse. They came late to the punch and took credit for what Daredevil and Heather had done. And we got this really great scene as well where, like, Daredevil is trying to track down or get some information from Muse's hideout. And we saw a scene right at the very start where he's touching Heather's face. And then he touches a painting of Heather made out of blood and stuff. And you can see that, like, it's been made with some thick material so that it's got layers to it and stuff. And he can feel the curves of her face and things. And he realizes, oh shit, I know that face. So quickly rushes over and Muse is mid-attack. Muse was fantastic in this episode. I thought he was brilliant, both out of the mask and in the mask, which then made the part where he gets shot by Heather even more, like, confusing and baffling to me, because it was great. And there was a point in this where Muse goes to grab a knife and he's, like, going at Heather with Daredevil in the background because Daredevil has caught up with them and stuff. And they're now fighting inside the therapist office. And he's got this big sheet on the floor because he plans on, I guess, making a massive canvas out of Heather. And Daredevil launches his grappling hook through the shoulder and yanks him back and across the canvas, painting his own picture with Muse, which I thought was really amazing. And I hope that we get to see, like, the canvas that Muse died on brought back a little bit later in some way, whether Muse gets a hold of it or whatever, because I have theories, which we'll get onto. But yeah, then the episode ended with, like, the task force coming in after Muse got shot by Heather during the big scuffle. We also got, like, a hospital scene of Heather afterwards where it seems like she's figured out, possibly, that Matt is Daredevil. Now, logically, I don't think somebody would, like, jump to that conclusion that fast. But, like, the pieces are there for her to, if she is clever. Which, I don't doubt that she's intelligent. I just think that I would be very, very, like, in my mind, I wouldn't place, like, my blind partner as being a vigilante, Like, I just feel like it wouldn't even cross my mind. But it seems to me like that's what they were hinting at, that she does kind of suspect it. But yeah, and then the task force do, like, a presentation where they hold Muse's mask up and they have seemingly defeated Muse. And I don't know how I feel about it. We'll have to see what happens. But do I think Muse is dead? Is he actually dead? I don't think so. I don't think this is the last we've seen of Muse at all. I would be really, really upset if this is it. This is all that they do with this really, really cool character. Like, visually, this character is brilliant. And we saw it in, like, the build-up, like, seeing all of his paintings reflecting the mood of the city and the story that was being told, you know, showing Fisk and Kingpin, and he's got all of these opinions and stuff that he is expressing himself, that he is, how do I say it? That he is expressing from himself, I guess. And it reflects what we're seeing. And that's really, really cool. Like, being reminded that, you know, White Tiger had an impact on the city. And somebody like Muse is influenced by the death of White Tiger in some way. And, you know, someone like Muse has heavy opinions on Kingpin / Fisk and Daredevil. And it's just interesting. And it'll be such a shame if we never see him again. Like, this picture here of him painting Daredevil with somebody's dismembered hand is brilliant. Now, in the comics, here's my theory. In the comics, Muse has powers, and he's kind of like a sensory void. And it makes it so that Matt is actually blind while fighting Muse, because Matt's senses aren't able to pick Muse up. So that, combined with, you know, the slight physical enhancements, makes Muse incredibly, incredibly dangerous to Daredevil. Specifically Daredevil. So, to heavily sort of tease him, and then bring him in for one episode, episode 6, get his ass beat, and then bring him in for episode 7, get his ass beat, and display none of his void powers, he's coming back. I reckon he's coming back, and I think Daredevil Born Again is not just about Daredevil being born again and the journey of Fisk being born again as Kingpin. I think we're going to be seeing multiple characters born again throughout the show's course, whether Foggy returns, whether Muse returns. I think that is going to be a continuous theme, that characters are reincarnated in some way. Now, one character that I don't think is going to apply to that is Vanessa. I think because Muse didn't kill Heather, which I think he should have in this episode, I think it would have been a lot more impactful to the longevity of the show for Muse to take out Daredevil's girlfriend. That would be amazing. But we don't want to fridge the character. But, like, I think that clears Vanessa as being killed this season. You can't kill both love interests in the same show, in the same season. It would be absurd. So I think that because Heather's made it out alive, we're losing Vanessa. And it wouldn't surprise me if Kingpin kills her. I think it would be a lot cooler if Muse kills her, to really, like, amp things up and establish Muse. I really want Muse to return before the end of the season. I don't want to have to wait until next season to see him again. They've said he's going to be back for season 2, or he's going to have a role to play in season 2. So I'm curious. But yeah, I'm hoping he isn't dead. He went into some sort of, like, I don't know, comatose state, and he's just being held by the task force in some way. I don't know. This show's brought people back to life before. We've seen Elektra get resurrected, so anything's possible. But yeah, I did enjoy this episode after the first 15, 20 minutes. I think once this episode switched back to Muse, it was an amazing episode. Really, really well done. Hunter Doohan was amazing as Muse. I cannot get over how, like, really, really great his performance was. And he's another reason why I hope that they don't get rid of this character. And I think that is the last we've seen of him for this season, because Hunter Doohan's under the special guest category, which means he was paid per episode. That was a little thing that I learned about when watching The Walking Dead with old Daryl Dixon. They could have killed Daryl at any point because he was always guest starring in the earlier episodes. So I think the jury is probably still out. I think we'll get a tease. I think we'll get a bit of a tease. They will blue ball us on the return of Muse. But yeah, what did you think of it? Did you enjoy it? I enjoyed it. I'd give it like... I think I gave last episode like a 9 or a 10 out of 10. I can't remember. I'm not keeping track. At the end, I'll do like a big rating for every single episode. I would give this one a solid 8. This was the first one where I'm like, this is a good episode, but it's got shit in it that it doesn't need. And this show so far has either been great episodes or like, eh. And this one was the first one that, for me, kind of combined the two. Because episode 4 was with a nice little good scene in it. But the rest of the episode just like dampened it down. So I think this was a solid 8. This was like the first solid, you know, kind of above mid episode. Again, some of the creative choices that they've made with the character for Muse here, I'm not happy with. Mostly the dying part. But yeah, there we go. I will see you next week for another review of Daredevil Born Again. Possibly on Thursday, we shall see. But yeah, there's going to be other content going out on the channel. I have recorded my first comic book review. I have some reactions to edit. And I have some reactions to record as well because I've got a couple of days off work. So there's still content pumping out. Feel free to go check out my gaming channel. And yeah, I will see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.